Yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andreas Diaz. Me and Will are back again for a Marvel Plus talk. Today we're discussing Ant-Man for his 60th anniversary, and plus, moving forward, we're going to do a two-topic discussion together. Make it easier because we've been doing that for a while from last year. Every time we do a weekly discussion, we always get a spoiler cast for a movie that's coming up. So we're going to do that for the New Year's feature with character discussions and movies. Anyway, so Will, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. So, and today I'm excited to talk about Ant-Man, and I'm kind of curious why you chose this one. I mean,
Yeah.
I know this is your favorite character, right?
Yeah. Hank Pym is my favorite. I just think Ant-Man is like he's an underdog. Um, he's really goofy. Um, and it feels like the writers always like dunk on him. So I
Oh,
don't know, it just
really?
makes me like the character. Yeah. I especially Hank Pym.
Yeah. Um, I mean, there's reason why, but we'll get into that. um, Yeah. Do you remember what was like your first time seeing the character? Um,
Um,
or read the character, I guess.
yeah. I think it was actually from the Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon,
Oh, yes.
which is actually my favorite version of Hank Pym.
Mm,
Um,
yes, definitely. Especially with the Ultron stuff. I really like.
yeah,
So, okay. That makes sense. I guess for me, I think the first time I saw him Hank Pym was in the direct to video animation movie, The Ultimate Avengers.
yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, so I saw him that, of course, not as Ant-Man, but of course Giant Man, of course, and
Hmm.
uh, and of course the Wasp was there as well, and so it was very intriguing, and I think those movies did a really good job of adapting the character and his like ultimate um like version from the Ultimates, but like mixing it
Yeah,
with the 616.
hmm yeah.
So,
I didn't like Ultimate Hank Pym, but
oh really?
yeah,
Drinking. I like that version. It just um, especially when we get to like discussing Hank Pym and like the whole like you know the wife beating thing, like
hmm
that's so safe with this character. I feel like that's the version that like goes to the furthest of that idea because
and I've never liked that um aspect. I think it's again, I think the Earth's Mightiest Heroes version did it the best, where it was like a mental health crisis and like a low point that made him snap, rather than like I don't know the Ultimates that just made him a jerk.
yeah,
Like they made him an evil person,
yeah,
and I didn't like that. Um,
yeah. I can understand. I don't I don't have that problem with that version. I think like I think there's ways to go around it. Um, the thing I like about the Ultimates is like he is like you mentioned like down to luck kind of person,
mhm,
and I feel like the Ultimates do that very well, and I think they do a good job of handling like um abuse well, like handling that topic
yeah,
in with the whole Hank and Janet relationship, and so I think that they do a good job with that, where
yeah,
compared to other I mean characters that have that kind of thing like Joker or Harley Quinn, is like it it's kind of like they don't know what to do with that. um
yeah. I
Um,
guess I'm not saying that I don't think it was done well. I didn't like seeing a character that I like being an abuser.
yeah. And you know what is funny about it is like it, we're discussing, of course, the Ultimates version. The 616 one is really bizarre, right? Because
Hmm.
was it like Jim Starlin, did a comic for issue, and then like of course, Yellowjacket, of course, Hank's other superior persona,
Hmm.
like accidentally hit Janet, right, and then that became like this whole thing, which isn't in.
Yeah, completely changed the trajectory of the character.
Yeah. Why with that issue? I need to know what issue that happened, but like I
So I have his Wikipedia pulled up. It's Avengers 213 from the
yes,
early 80s.
yeah, in the early 80s. Oh wow, it's in the 80s. I thought it was in the 70s.
It's 81.
Oh wow. So okay.
Yeah, I mean he
Um,
started to lose his mind in the 70s, but then
yes,
he hits Janet and kind of passes the point of no return in the 80s.
yeah, that's very true. So I I guess I mean like I mean the 616, they make it very like, oh, because he loses his mind and
Hmm.
all that. Excuse me, but like why do you think this that like part of the character took off? Like, you think it's because we haven't discussed that in the comics before, or or was it because Hank wasn't a very interesting character in the comics? Like why this part kind of stick around? Like I'm
Yeah.
kind of like, do you have any ideas? Like,
Yeah, I think it seems like um, after the Avengers started, they weren't really sure like what to do with Hank.
mhm,
Um,
yeah,
and then they kept like writing him out of the story, but then bringing him back in. And I think this was just like an attempt to change up his character. And it's what stuck because that image of him hitting Janet is just so like it sticks in your brain.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
especially with the was it the leather jacket suit
Hmm.
in the the comic you mentioned is like very like it's like, I mean, the suit looks like threatening.
Hmm.
And if you see him with his like original like Ant-Man costume, it could have been silly, but
Yeah, I mean, I was reading some of the original like Ant-Man issues of Tales to Astonish yesterday and today.
yes, I saw your
And yeah,
Snapchat.
yeah, they're they're so silly. Like he was like a pretty silly character, and then for him to take this like dark turn was
Bizarre.
yeah.
I Yeah, I mean, I I will say, like, I think Ant-Man, like the name Ant-Man it sounds cool. I think the the concept of like him shrinking
Hmm.
is a neat power. I think,
I love his powers. His powers are so cool.
yeah, and
But
yeah, but for some reason, like I kind of wish we like um like this is one of the case of like you know like the character had potential, but like the writers just never really like expand his universe properly.
hmm.
Like, there's things you could do with Ant-Man. You can do so much like science fiction, like 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 Rod Sterling and or like Gene Roddenberry level of like science fiction stories with Ant-Man.
Hmm.
And I don't know, some reason Stanley and the creators just were struggling, especially because he doesn't have like a rose gallery. I mean, it's like, I mean, some of them are just like with the Avengers, and then there's just some like, I mean, like you got Egghead as a villain, which it was kind of cool that the sequel, Ant-Man and Wasp, like connect that to ghosts, and
Mhm.
I mean that was neat.
Yeah, it was cool to see like one of his villains show up in the movies because I mean, yeah, he really doesn't have a rogues gallery, and the ones that he uh, does have are kind of lame.
Yeah, um, yeah, and then the like it's kind of like Aquaman, like he has only like what two best villains people
Mhm.
know of, and like everyone knows about Ant-Man with Ultron,
Right.
like and of course we'll get into discussion of him
Yeah.
creating
Yeah.
Ultron, you
Yeah.
know.
When we talk about the movie, I will have thoughts.
Oh, yes, I know. I have that same feeling as well. Or I have the feeling of like if they ever return that character in the live action, in the MCU, like he
Mhm.
could have been a great third villain. You know, instead of King.
Oh, you
In
mean Ultron?
yes, yes,
Yeah. Yeah. They
because
could have brought him back.
you know,
I,
instead,
yeah.
yeah,
I,
you know,
I'll wait until we're discussing the movie to share my
I
thoughts on
I
it.
know. Oh my god. I so of course, I mean we're not only I guess it'd be kind of be fair to kind of discuss the other characters
Mhm.
that had like taken the mantle of Ant-Man. Did you read Scotland? Because he's a character I was never familiar. Like I only know the movies, and I like. What's your opinion on the comic book version of Scotland? Um,
Um, I've only read a couple Avengers issues that he's been in.
okay.
Um, but I don't know. And the ones that I was reading were like, I read the one where he was introduced, I think, and then I read the famous one with him on Hawkeye's arrow on the cover.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at you know Scott's Wikipedia. I always thought that he's like a 2000 character, but he's actually
Oh no, no.
he's like
Yeah, he's
much longer.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Again, I think they weren't sure what to do with Hank Pym, so they replaced him in the 70s.
yeah. Um, he's a I read him in the demon in the bottle storyline. Because of course he's created by David. What was his name? David Magalini, and
Mm.
the writers that made Iron Man like who Iron Man is now with the demon in the bottle stuff
Mhm.
and all that, and Rhodes as well. I thought the issue where like Tony asked Scott to like I think it's been a while for me to read the storyline. But like he had to infiltrate I think one of Hammer's uh like company and tried to get back to the Iron Man designs. Like that was pretty cool.
Mhm.
Um yeah, I guess it's kind of a neat like character. Like he's like an ex-convict with electronics expert, like
Yeah.
like
A lot of that came later,
okay.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, in the issue I read
Mhm.
in the was it the omnibus book I have for the Demon in the
Mhm.
Bottle.
Yeah.
He was he was a rehire employee
Mhm.
for Stark. Um but yeah, so and then I well, and continuing with Scott, I we also have to mention he has a daughter Cassie,
Mhm.
who is staturist or
I think stature.
stature, right? Um, that's kind of cool. Like we got, not only like this version has her like he has his own wasp, but it's different. So
Mhm.
that's kind of neat. I'm pretty excited to see her becoming a hero. If we get her be a hero in the third Ant-Man film.
I think
Uh,
I think we are. I think I've
okay.
seen that. I know
Uh,
they recast her for Ant-Man 3.
Yes, they did, and I was shocked, but at the
Hmm.
same time, I was like, oh, I mean, they picked a great actress for Cassie for the third
Mm.
time.
Yeah, I mean, they're
So
probably picking someone that they want to like keep long term
yeah,
as stature.
yeah, it's yeah, I'm kind of curious to talk about that as well.
Yeah,
Um, and then kind of like moving into there's like a third one called Eric O'Grady.
yeah.
Uh, any opinions on this character? Like, I don't know
I
this
mean,
character.
I've never like read anything with him in it.
Mhm.
Um, I remember like when I first learned about the character, and it's just like an edgier Ant-Man who's a jerk, and
Yeah.
it didn't sound appealing. Like his comic was the irredeemable Ant-Man, right?
Yes. I
Yeah,
just it's right here. Yeah.
yeah,
Um.
yeah. I didn't
Mhm.
need. Yeah, I was all right.
Yeah. That's. I mean, you couldn't. You could easily like he's created by Robert Kirkman. I think it could have worked, but I think sometimes the creators go too far with the main spirit with characters. You
Mhm.
know. So I don't know, like um and also his suit, I'm looking at his like prototype Ant-Man suit. It's not like it kind of looks like they took his suit a little bit from for the movies with the helmet.
Yeah.
Um but yeah. Yeah. And then I guess like getting into I guess get into his relationship with the Wasp. Like, do you prefer the Wasp over Ant-Man? Um, I'm kind of curious. Um,
No, I think I prefer Ant-Man, but I like both. Like I really like Janet.
okay, all right.
But I think Hank Pym's a very like complex character. Um,
Mm,
and
true.
he's interesting. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Peter Parker, but like
That's older.
older. And if the writers didn't like Peter Parker,
Oh
um,
my god.
like they
Uh,
didn't want him to win, um, which is
yeah,
just like an interesting
that's
dynamic.
yeah, that's true. I mean, I mean, it I, I mean, it's kind of intriguing that they, they didn't think like he could have been a good like a good character for like being like an everyday person like Pierre is, you know?
Hmm.
Like I know Pierre is a smart guy, but the thing that makes Pierre Parker great, like a great character, is because he's like everybody, like he has
Hmm.
money from him, or like he has like girl issues, right? And like I think Hank has that like insecurity or and
Hmm.
just
Yeah.
overwhelming stress because the world is like it gets him. Like
Hmm.
I
Especially like when he's on the original Avengers team, you got a billionaire, a god, a like World War II hero, and the Hulk, and then
yeah,
there's Hank and Janet, and they're like relatively normal compared to the
yeah,
rest of them.
yeah.
Um,
um, there were scientists when they like
yeah.
put the Avengers together. Like you got like what one, two, three, four, like four scientists together. Um,
Hmm.
that's kind of intriguing. That I mean, it's I mean, like it's kind of fun. Like it's interesting we don't see like I kind of wish we had Ant-Man early on in the MCU because I always get kind of curious like if he interact with Bruce Banner and like how like because like he has similar themes with Bruce as well,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. Right.
And like he also has anger issues and like and where like Banner also has that as well, but that takes almost like a literal way when he becomes the Hulk, right?
Hmm.
Um, I
Yeah.
kind of. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing.
Yeah, I was kind of. it's curious that we don't like compare him to like the personalities of his team
Hmm.
as often. Like he has the Stark thing of like having like an ego, and like he's trying to be he's a very ambitious scientist trying to push
Yeah,
himself
he's
to
very
the
arrogant.
yeah. And then with Jant, right? Like I mean, Jant likes to be a hero, right? Like
Hmm.
in the Earth's Mightiest Heroes, I remember like Jant wanted to help people, and like she wants to be part of this team where Hank Bear just wants to be just a scientist, and he wants to like experiment and continue his like shrinking formula and all that.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
well, and
what I liked about the Earth's Mightiest Heroes version was that he was a pacifist. So he hated being a hero because he didn't want to fight people.
that's true. Oh,
And
yes, yes.
yeah, and then when he finally snapped, that like reversed, and he became very violent because he like decided that the only way to stop crime was to like stop people from being able to commit crimes.
Yes.
Um,
This
yeah,
is
I that's my favorite version of the character, like by far. I think
yeah,
he was the most interesting, but
yeah.
and I
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah,
I wish. Oh, sorry.
no, I'm sorry. I no, like I love the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes show, and I totally agree with you. I love that version of Ant-Man, and
Hmm.
I think he was like, especially the reason why he created Ultron.
Yeah,
And can you remind me why he created Ultron? Because like that was the reason he did it, because he wanted to, like, he kind of did the Stark thing, like, I want to go home, and so I want to put an army of suits, right? And like,
yeah, it was very similar to Tony Stark's
right.
explanation in Avengers 2.
Okay.
But he didn't want to fight criminals anymore, so he
Yeah.
wanted to create a robot that could do the Avengers job for them
Yeah.
and just kind of keep the peace without anyone having to fight. And then he used his own like brain as the
As a brainwave to
yeah,
activate Ultron. That's what I remember.
right. And then his like latent psychological problems are what caused Ultron to turn evil.
Yes.
It was like a precursor to him snapping.
Yeah. And then especially we mentioned Avengers 2, because they took the title of the run, the Age of Ultron,
Hmm.
and the way to stop Ultron being created, they had to kill Hank Pym from, like they had to kill Hank, you know, to, you know, erase Ultron from existence.
Hmm.
And so, because he is very connected to Ultron. Um, yeah, yeah, I guess we can get into the conversation of him and Ultron, because I mean, Ultron is like the most iconic Avenger villain. Like he's the other character I heard before the movies came out, and
Hmm.
um it was a neat idea. Like it's the classic thing of the villain creating the villain, or sorry, the hero created the villain.
Hmm.
Um, and in like a very little way, like Ant-Man created this powerful villain in the Marvel universe, and like Ultron also inadvertently created two characters that are going to be major Avengers, members, particularly Vision,
Hmm.
um, in the Avengers comics, and so it's very intriguing. Yeah, what do you think about Ultron with Hank and all of that? Like we've been discussing a little bit of it, but like let's get into that conversation. Like, what do you think about Ultron as a villain for Ant-Man?
Yeah, I love him, especially in the interpretations where he's like a like dark mirror of Hank.
Yes.
And it's just like all of the bad parts of Hank's personality given a like immortal and amoral like body. Um,
Yes.
yeah, no, I think he's great and frightening and
Yeah.
just a really good foil for Hank.
Yeah. I'm kind of shocked they never um I'm kind of shocked we never get like a variant Ant-Man like from a parallel universe and like make that as the other main villain for Hank. Like he has to versus himself, like kind of like Reverse Flash or like
Yeah, I mean, he's already kind of his own worst enemy,
uh,
you know?
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like
I'm just saying
like
if you want.
Yellowjacket is his Reverse Flash.
Oh, that's true. But I kind of wish they made like a person take that mantle and
Hmm.
be like another villain for Ant-Man, like to create more of his rogues gallery, right? But
Hmm.
I'm just saying. Um, actually, uh, I do want to answer this question. This is where I have trouble getting into this character, or like I like the character. One of the things that is like a red herring for me that they don't really know to do with this character is the constant change of his names, of his superhero alias. Like
Hmm.
I mentioned at the beginning, like I met the character when he was a giant man, and then you get into I mean, people don't like. I didn't know when the movie came out, like Yellowjacket was another identity he had, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, that's
Yeah.
kind of yeah." Um, um, I'm fine with that. I mean, like, I think it was a neat thing in the movie, but like, um, I don't know, like he's and then like the other identity he has is was it Galactive, Goliath or something like that.
Goliath.
Goliath. Thank you.
Goliath, yeah.
Yeah. Like um like I I don't know why like I like the name Ant-Man. Like it sounds better. I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah,
Um,
I'm sorry. Like give me a reason why they doing this. Do you think they did it for like story purposes, or like they really did that because they think the Ant-Man name was kind of silly, or like what do you think?
it was a bit of both. He tended to
Okay.
change his name when he was like going through some psychological issues. Like Yellowjacket was uh his like turn from being a hero to being more of like or not a villain per se, but like
No.
he was certainly less heroic as Yellowjacket. Um,
Yeah.
and then Goliath was similar. Like he was in a different place
Mm,
character wise. I think normally it was just Ant-Man and Giant Man
yeah.
were
Oh,
just like his normal persona.
okay. Um. No, no. I thought about that. Just for me, like, I guess the thing that's kind of I want to point out is like he was like he started as like a what is it? Like he was in Tales to the Astonish. That was
Hmm.
an anthology like series,
Hmm.
and then for some reason like in the behind the scenes of the Ant-Man movie, like he was like the issue sell well, like kind of how like the final issue that had Spider-Man, like it sell well, and they like repurposed the story that the man in the anthill into like a
Hmm.
superhero thing.
Yeah.
Like I mean, which is not bad. I think the idea of a shrinking man, with ants, it's like a neat concept. I just feel like when you constantly change the character's name, it does create a confusion and like just not like a clear brand name or like brand identity that this character needs to have to like live long,
Hmm.
uh, you know, for a
Yeah.
couple years. Which I mean, he does have that because of the Avengers connection, of course. Um, but I don't know. It's just me. I feel like just him constantly changing names. It's just goes like it gets kind of problematic. I don't know what other character that has that problem. Like I'm trying to figure out. Like
It's he's the only example I can think of.
Yeah, because like I don't know, like when like a character like it's not like Lex Luthor, where before he was just named Luthor, and then like a couple years he got the name Lex,
Hmm.
and it was fine. Same thing with Penguin. Like he didn't get the Oswald Compa in like what 5 years when he debuted in 1941.
Mm.
So I mean, yeah. So um, okay, so we're into that. What else we haven't mentioned with Ant-Man? Like what other areas like we haven't discussed? Um, I'm trying to figure out. Do you want to talk about his relationship with the Avengers?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. So this part I'm a little unfamiliar with him and with the Avengers relationship because it's like all over the place. Um, uh, what do you like? Um, I guess I mean besides the part he's like the founding member of the Avengers,
Hmm.
like what do you think he adds to the team? I guess, um, like emotionally and
Yeah,
like like
I don't know. I think he adds a very like human element in that he's like deeply flawed, but he's
sure.
still a member of the team and trying to do his best. Um,
Yeah, that's true. Um, yeah. And I guess it's also kind of intriguing. He's like he's kind of like Banner, like where he doesn't like the identity or like the persona of Ant Man.
mhm,
Like doesn't think he's like connected to Hulk as well.
mhm.
Um, and I guess we're gonna get into like what is your favorite like character interaction he has with the Avengers? Like, is there someone like I guess I like the Scott and Hawkeye relationship. I think that's pretty
Mhm.
neat. Um, because it concentrates their like everyday man personality.
Mhm.
And then with Hank, I like his interaction with Tony because it like they both the same people. Because especially when he kind of like loses his mind and leaves the Avengers, right?
Mhm.
Does Stark dates Janet at that time? Because I um he dates Janet during the Avengers, right? During the
Mhm.
80s. And so it's kind of intriguing. He loses Janet over another like dark person that has problems as well. And,
Mhm.
and it's kind of funny and intriguing. The any stories you like from him, like famous storylines for him, like can we like list down with that? Um, because we mentioned the Avengers 213. What other ones that maybe people want to look out for? Um,
Yeah. I would say the creation of Ultron.
yes, yeah.
Um, yeah, which was um, just the Avengers 54.
hmm
Um,
Uh, Age of Ultron. That's another one uh, to look out for.
mhm.
And then the Secret Avenger series. He's in there as
Mhm.
a regular. This is the 2010 and 2013 run. Um, and I guess if you want to see like Ant-Man and the Wasp together, they do have like a mini series called Ant-Man and the Wasp. So
Mm.
so we can do that. Um,
Yeah. Um, for like an older Hank Pym who's kind of like trying to redeem himself, I would go with the West Coast Avengers.
oh, that's true. Yes. Okay, so we're done with the listing of the stories. Let's now we can get into the live action films and kind of go from there.
Mhm,
So this is the funny part. Let's not get into too much of the first film and just kind of discuss the depictions of both Scott and Hank in the MCU.
mhm,
And then also talk about damage and stuff as well. I will say that I think Ant-Man is a good character in the MCU. I think they do a good job of like you utilizing the character, specifically Scott. I think he really fits into that themes and storylines that the MCU does,
mhm,
especially like the father and like father relation we usually get in the series. Um, and I like Hank. I think he's another like good mentor we have in this series. I like his relation with Scott, um, which sometimes become kind of yeah, repetitive, especially in the second sequel. Um, but overall, I think the MCU does a very good job with the both characters. But at the same time, I do feel disappointed of we didn't get Ant-Man and Wasp as members of the Avengers. Like,
mhm,
um, I feel like that's like because especially you kind of question why they make a big deal of Ant-Man and the Wasp in their series, and it's like because you don't know if because you don't know that you're the founding members of the Avengers, and like
mhm,
it doesn't connect to you like right away, or like it's not like emotionally connected
mhm,
right away. I feel like and just for me, there's just when we get into the anime film, one of my biggest problems with these films and these characters is that I don't care about the Hank Pym or like Hope like storyline,
mhm.
where I care more about the Scott Lang storyline. Oh,
Yeah,
I, what do you think? With the
yeah.
MCU
I
depict
yeah,
depictions of these characters.
I agree that Scott Lang is done really well.
Yeah.
And then I also agree that Hank Pym is kind of lacking. I was really disappointed with the depiction of Hank when the first movie came out. The second
Mm,
movie saved it a little,
mm,
but I think the problem stems from the fact that um, between Age of Ultron and the first Ant-Man movie, they gave both of Hank's most compelling storylines to different characters. Like,
yes.
like they gave Tony the Ultron storyline,
Mhm.
and then they gave Darren Cross the Yellowjacket storyline, which left Hank with just being like a bitter old man.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like they used his most famous and most interesting character arcs on other people.
Yeah. Yeah, that agreed. Especially when I was watching Ant-Man last night, and
Hmm.
I especially because a lot of people like call Little Jacket the worst villain in the MCU film, like the list, the list of worst villains. And I like the performance that Corey Stoll, or that's right, Stoll, Corey
Hmm.
Stoll,
Hmm.
did. I like his performance. I think it was very engaging. It was just his relationship with Hank in the film was interesting, but it wasn't explored enough. And so I was kind of left confused why he has this bitter like relationship. Like I get he didn't tell him about the pin particles, right?
Hmm.
And but it's not like it's not enough for me to like understand why he's doing this. And then also like they throw the the thing with Little Jacket with we mentioned the psychological breakdown of Hank. They did it here, but they made the thing of like, oh, because of him using the shrinking stuff, it made his mind go crazy, which it was so flimsy in the film. And I was like,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Like
Um,
I,
yeah,
I
he
don't,
didn't need to be crazy. He could have just been like ambitious and a little evil, you know.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I and really bizarre. And then getting into like the sequel, um, Lawrence Fishburne's character, Bill Foster,
mhm,
who was also another character that takes over the Goliath
mhm.
persona. Like he too is was a very fascinating character, but doesn't have enough screen time or like just explanation of like why he's doing this stuff. But
Yeah,
besides helping the villain Ghost, I just feel like there should have been more um development. My thing, I just kind of wish we knew, like they're trying to do the gray area of Hank, but like not giving it like a specific thing why he's so like this. You know, like if we kept the Ultron thing, like he was this ambitious scientist that created this weapon, and then it went out of control, and like people blame Hank for it, right?
mhm,
And then he was trying to do like the Stark thing, like in Iron Man 3 or like Age of Ultron. He was, trying to tinker it, and then he became like a, you know, a liability for Shield and all of that. Like I could have gone that way for me,
mhm.
but instead we just like he's a brilliant scientist that has like trust issues with authority, like especially the Stark thing, which it's fascinating, but like it's not like I don't understand why he has a beef with Stark, like especially when
I think it's because he didn't like Howard Stark from his time at Shield.
I I I to be honest with you, when I saw when I had like had a chance to watch the whole film
Mhm,
properly, I don't think I don't understand why he has that. Like I feel like we need like a scene why he has a beef with Howard. I I, I just
wasn't
I
it
do.
related to what happened to Janet?
Well, yes and no. Like that's not the reason. Like that's kind of separate. Like I feel like I think it makes sense, but like I think everyone in the Shield should be accountable for what happened to Janet. Like Peggy should be in trouble as well, and like I don't know, we'll discuss that more in the movie when we get
Mhm,
to Ant-Man. Um, but I guess we can like wrap things up with the 60th anniversary talk and get into the first film.
mhm.
Any thoughts of Ant-Man? Like he's still your favorite character, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of untapped potential in Ant-Man,
Mhm.
but I really enjoy what's there because he's just such a deeply flawed character, which makes him
Yeah,
really interesting, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Um, I wish I think he needs like a writer that defines him.
Hmm.
Like I don't think I mean he has like defining moments with Ultron and stuff, but like I think we need like a solo series that define Hank or Scott as the Ant-Man character, right?
Hmm.
Kind of like how Mac Fraction did for Hawkeye.
Hmm.
And like ever since that run, people point to that run as the definitive look of the character of Hawkeye. And like it was the thing that inspired the show, of Hawkeye and Disney Plus.
Hmm.
Like I mean, even the open titles have like that, like the artists
Yeah.
like comic book panels, and it was like neat. And I feel like Ant-Man needs that like definitive run and artists and writer to take this character in new levels.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, and then I think in general expand more in his roles gallery. I think there's more potential to give him besides Ultron and then himself. I feel like and then I guess you could put him with other villains. Like it'd be kind of neat to compare him with Trax, Bolivar Trax and the Sentinels in the
Hmm.
X-Men universe. Like there's like a similarity, but like there's difference, of course. And what else? Like the Tinker from Spider-Man, like he'd be a good villain for Ant-Man to versus, or
Hmm.
Snipe, the Spire Slayers. Like there's a lot of like potential to like group him in these other villains besides the lame ones. Or the one lame one that I mentioned, Egghead. So
Hmm.
yeah, so yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.